AJ, happy Monday. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday indeed, man.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Well, it was going good until I found out that pizza is like 7 times more addictive than cocaine. Which
That makes sense.
it does. It's the only thing I haven't been able to quit yet. So that does make a lot of sense. But that's just terrible news, man. It's like it makes it sound impossible. It's like, well, I guess I shouldn't even try to quit eating pizza if it's that difficult to quit. I mean, I'm just gonna. Yep, I think that confirms it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's that difficult, man, they should just make it legal. Wait a minute. Oh well, forget it.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Okay, wait. Hold on. Before we start the show, everything over here is buffering. Buffering? Anyone else buffering? No one's buffering? All right. You know what we should do then? We should probably start the show.
Get buff.
This is PSVR GAMESCAST Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on YouTube live, 6 p.m. Eastern. We do it live for your pleasure. That's why it's ribbed. We also serve ribs. There's no ribs to be had. It's punch and pie only. If you don't feel like watching this thing over on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, don't worry. The thing is available on podcast services of your choice for your, as we've said, oral pleasure. AJ, can we just start the show over? This I feel like this one is quickly going down the tubes.
We need a mulligan. No,
or of course,
you know what, Brian?
Oral pleasure.
I've got the pen in my hand. That means shit's gonna be serious today.
What kind of pen do you got? I've got a without parole, an OG without parole games pen. What kind of pen?
I have
do you
like
got?
5 of those behind me.
Oh,
No, this is just a regular Velocity pen.
it's a weird flex. If you don't want to listen over on podcast service of your choice, don't forget that Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, in his infinite wisdom, adds timestamps to this show after the fact. Dude, we didn't even get the show started. I haven't even introduced this guy over here yet, but we're already going to read a tip because, hey, that's the way we do things. Sir Moses with the 5 rupees says, hi, Brian. Hey, AJ. Did you see today's Digital Foundry Direct with Ian Higton? He gave new impressions on PSVR2, not said on the Eurogamer video. Yeah, it was actually, it's like 45 minutes of him talking to Digital Foundry, and he's just as excited as ever, and he seems more impressed, if that's even possible, on that video, which is pretty fantastic. And I think one of the things that really, he really drove the point home on that a lot of other people didn't, was the haptics in the headset. He said he was just, casually sitting there in the boat at the beginning of Horizon Call of the Mountain, just enjoying the sights and scenes. And he said, like, this giant, whatever the big... Stormbird, thank you very much. That's why I keep you around. Came swooping in, and it was just really, really impressive from an oral and haptic. I'm just trying to put oral into like every sentence.
You need oral haptics is what you need.
Yeah, man. I definitely have some oral issues going on. My name is Brian Powell from this channel right here, PSVR without Parole. And this gentleman over here to my right, it's AJ. Nope, that's not it. It's AJ from the Underground. PSVR. Is this my first fucking day, dude? Who let me do this shit? This is ridiculous. From the Underground.
I think it's gonna be kind of one of those days, man. It's all right. We're gonna chill out, talk about PSVR2, have a good time, and yeah, we're still hungover from the exciting news from last week, and the roller coaster of emotions, I should say, because it was certainly an up and down week, all over the place. But no, man, things are great. What is up, dude? Hope you're well. What is up, cats? Happy Monday, and we are here, Brian. There's one goal that we have, and that is to ensure their Monday sucks just a little bit less.
I've heard that's the case. And I'm so duper super excited. It's been wrong all of these years, man. Did you know we've been saying it wrong? It's duper super excited.
Duper super. I like it.
I'm so
Where's the duper
dumb.
super game cat
I'm
name change?
So I'm so done, man. Guys, a little bit of housekeeping. Make sure that if you haven't already joined our Discord, click the link in the description below and join our Discord. It is free to join. And if you want access to voice chat, you want some special videos, if you want, I don't know, just to support the channel, head on over to patreon.com/withoutparole Don't forget, you can get your name on that list down there for just $3 a month. And that also gives you voice chat access. But for $5 a month, I swear, now that the mold problem is gone, I'm going to get back on top of this stuff. I've got why we love episodes and other shit in the works. But there will be more exclusive videos. And of course, for any Patreon supporters, $1 or more, I'm going to make sure that the litter box episodes keep rolling in, because I did the one, but there's a lot more that I want to share with you guys. That's it. That's all the news I have for you today, man. That's it. So let's get this show started, AJ, with something that I think we're all absolutely 100% sick of, and that is rumors.
No.
About a PlayStation showcase.
Don't say it. Oh,
date.
You said the S word. Oh, I'm gonna give me a second. I'm gonna vomit real quick.
Yeah, no, and it's totally understandable, man. It is. I think after a long month of September, we're not even at the end of September yet, but it just seems we've been kind of dicked around a little bit between rumors and speculation and Sony themselves just being like, where the hell is our showcase? So I think we're all kind of sick of this. However, let me know how sick of this shit you guys are in the comments. Over on Game Rant, Joshua Buckworth posted just 7 hours ago, and thanks, by the way, to Darth Vader the Game Cat for sharing this information with me. It says, recent Final Fantasy 16 comments may hint at a PlayStation showcase date. Final Fantasy 16 is easily one of the most anticipated PS5 exclusives of 2023, and recent comments suggest fans could learn more about it soon. However, the timing and past patterns of similar comments also potentially point to a PlayStation showcase date. Many fans have been expecting a PlayStation showcase for weeks now. This event, which is usually much bigger than a state of play, God, I hope so, has taken place in September for the past 3 years. It's here where fans can expect updates on games like Final Fantasy 16, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and so on. The event was originally rumored to take place on September 8th, as we all know that didn't happen. And when Sony did announce an event, it was a state of play and not a PlayStation showcase. We also know about that. Recent rumors point to October 2022 now, which should be taken with a grain of salt. I think everything should be taken
more
with
than a grain of salt at this point.
But Final Fantasy 16 may actually support this rumor. And now let's get to the meat of the article. Let's see. First off, the PS showcase taking place in October is based on rumor and hearsay, so this shouldn't be taken as fact, but it does also make sense, and it doesn't seem to be happening this month. According to one random account on the internet, Insomniac will reveal more about Marvel's Spider-Man 2 in October, and obviously a PlayStation showcase is the best presentation for such a reveal. It's not hard to put two and two together here, but Final Fantasy 16 adds on to this. Yoshi P, I don't know if my screen's just too small to see what that actually says, but I think Yoshi P recently said that fans could learn more about Final Fantasy 16 in October, which is an odd hesitation. He doesn't outright confirm it, but he does say it could happen. This language could suggest something is in motion, and he could not speak to it happening 100%. Gaming events are always in motion, and it could be that Yoshi P is referencing a possible PlayStation showcase. It's not just the timing, though. The last time Yoshi P made a reference like this, it was to another event back in May 2022. Yoshi P said a new Final Fantasy 16 trailer was ready, but for vague reasons he did not directly address, it could not be shown yet. In essence, it was waiting for a stage, and come June 2022, Final Fantasy 16 appeared at a state of play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so sick of everyone just these fake insiders, fake rumors, all this bullshit where they're just throwing shit at the wall every single goddamn day until something sticks. Even if it doesn't stick, they just continue to do this. And it's driving me freaking mad, man. Like, look, we know developers are developing shit. At some point, they're going to have to show that shit. Duh. Like, but to say, oh, it might happen here. Oh, it might happen here. Oh, it might happen here. Yep. And change your stance every single goddamn time is getting so old to me. I'm so sick of this. I'd rather just wait for an official announcement or, you can speculate all you want. Yes, it could. Yes, it couldn't. Who gives a shit anymore? Just wait for the damn thing to happen.
Yeah.
Like, or the official announcement. You know, this has no connection. The Sony State of Play that was last week has zero connection to the showcase rumors. Yet they're linking it together like it has some kind of like correlation, and it doesn't. It's just going from rumor to rumor, and I'm freaking sick of it.
Yep.
Please stop this. Stop this madness.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing ever at this point to say, "Oh, there's a PlayStation showcase happening next month." Well,
Yeah.
it's like it's sort of like, well, duh. It's like we're sort of running out of time here, right? And so it's easy for people to just kind of say, "Well, it's obvious it didn't happen this month. It's obviously happening next month." And honestly, yeah, I'm definitely tired of it because the only thing I care about, I think the only thing you care about, is making sure that we're going to be where we need to be to cover this thing. That is the only thing we care about.
Yeah.
We want enough heads up. Like 24 hours was dangerous last time. It was like, okay, well, it's state of play, man.
That was
Give
ridiculous.
us some more time because AJ needed to make sure that he could be here for it, and it was a little bit difficult. And
I got here with 2 minutes before the show.
Right. And so and so basically all we care about at this point is because we know the information's coming. We know there's a showcase coming, and it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter when, because it's not going to change the release date of PSVR2. It's just going to find out when we learn more about it. And I think a lot of people out there are less concerned about the things we're concerned about. We're concerned about being here and covering it. People out there are more concerned about being like, is this where they're going to announce pre-orders are live? Because if it is, we need to be fucking ready, because we don't want another PlayStation 5 situation on our hands. And so that's why I feel really bad for anyone who's like just, chomping at the bit for this information for that reason, because it's like, well, they want to get a PlayStation VR2, right?
Yeah.
And like,
there's certain, but there's no doubt that there are fuckheads out there that are taking full advantage of people's hype and emotions and stuff, and taking full advantage of, like, people like this Robert Serrano, people like this Wright-In. They're full of shit. Okay, like 100% full of shit. And just stop listening to them. Whatever. Brian, you know what? Showcase isn't a rumor. However, that is officially confirmed. That is happening in October.
no.
Resident Evil has been officially announced by Capcom at Tokyo Game Show, and they've said that they're going to show more, I believe, on Resident Evil 4. Now, this is the fun kind of speculation where, this is where we get to say, okay, could they potentially show more Resident Evil 4 in VR and more info on that? I'm going to personally say no, probably not, because they don't really need to just yet. But it would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously coming. Again, they
didn't accidentally announce that at State of Play. I mean, I know they had to backtrack some of that, but that, there was obviously a reason they did that, even if they had to take it back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of done altogether, man. It's like I don't need anything else from Capcom other than just being like, hey, all of Resident Evil 4 is going to be on PlayStation VR2. And sorry, this is an old showcase trailer. It's like January 21st, 2021. I'm like, that's sorry guys, misinformation happening right below me here. This is an old showcase, which does kind of show you though. It has not been a full year between showcases, so they definitely have some stuff to show us. But yeah, I kind of don't care anymore, man. What I want isn't more Village footage. I do want to find out what's going on with the RE4. But what we need, and a lot of this came to light, I think, AJ, if you happen to see my list of every single PlayStation VR2 game that's been confirmed, there's like over 50 games on that list, and
I did watch it.
And some people enjoyed the list. And so like, okay, this is cool. This is like a work in progress list. This is a currently, everything we currently know. And some people are like, oh, fuck this shit. There's no AAA games on this list. PSVR2 is going to fail. There's nothing here I'm interested in. I'm only interested in Village and maybe Call of the Mountain. And I hope those people realize they were missing the point, because the point isn't to be like, hey, I'm trying to sell you on PSVR2. That I never fucking care if anyone out there buys PSVR2. That's not my goal. My goal is to be like,
do.
I don't care.
Everybody buy PSVR2.
I don't care what you want. So what I care about is like, sharing my enthusiasm for something that I'm very, very excited about. But Sony has not come out really swinging. They did a great job at the beginning of June revealing No Man's Sky and Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 and Resident Evil 4 something and Resident Evil Village, right? And it was great. It was really that surge of enthusiasm that we needed from Sony, but it's been kind of quiet since. And so what we need from them is a showcase or a PSVR2 event where they say, hey, here's the other AAA games that you're looking for. Here's what's really going to sell you. Because currently, it's a lot of indie studios. It's a lot of people who just got their PSVR2 dev kit. It's a lot of people who just want a PSVR2 dev kit who don't even have it yet. And saying, oh, don't worry, we're going to make our game for PSVR2. Right. And that's what sort of comprises that list right now. It's developers confirming that they're doing it. But, it's for a lot of people.
It doesn't mean every single one is going to actually happen.
It doesn't mean that they're all going to happen, but more importantly, they're not games that people care about. Not until they come out and we go, holy shit, this game we had, that we'd never heard of before. That seemed like this kind of like small little indie game that didn't have anything new to offer. As it turns out, we were wrong, and it's beautiful and it's amazing, and game mechanics feel great. It's VRAF, and it's a reason to pick up your PSVR 2. But right now, they all just look like a bunch of little indie games. So we need Sony. What we need is Sony to say, Gran Turismo 7, Grand Theft Auto, Half-Life Alyx. Here are the AAA games you're going to be buying a PSVR 2 for.
I do think that's what, if there is an eventual, whenever there's the next big show or whatever they do, I do feel like they're probably sitting on stuff like that right now, because that is what gamers want the most. That's what we want the most out of PSVR 2. There's a huge difference in quality jump between Retribution. They're one of those zombie games that's like on the thing that looks like it's Requisition. It looks cool, but it also looks like it's really early, it's more almost like they've got the concept down than a really polished game. And so seeing some of that footage is not, it's kind of like, okay, you're kind of getting a peek behind the hood, behind the curtain, but this isn't the actual like thing to show off that you're like, ooh. But that being said, I do think they're sitting on stuff like a Gran Turismo 7, and tons more potentially. I mean, that's what makes it exciting to me is there's so much possibility, and their first party titles and AAA studio titles that they're partnered with are potentially going to be some of the biggest games we get. Stuff like you said, Gran Turismo, Grand Theft Auto, so much more.
Yeah, we got Adam in the chat who says, but there really haven't even been many games for PS5, and that's been out a while. Like, almost 2 years now. But don't forget that VR is sort of a different thing, right? So not only are we looking at potential ports of PS4 games, not only are we looking at potential hybrid PS5 games, we're looking into the future, not even terribly that far, and looking at games that are coming out soon and saying, oh, this could be a hybrid game, this could be a hybrid game, this could be a hybrid game. Like the fact,
every PS5 game that comes out, we got to look at it and examine it and be like, would this work in VR? Because if it could, then it could potentially happen.
Right. And there's just so much to go back and pick from. There's so many different studios out there who have made VR games in the past. Some were exclusive to PC VR that just probably haven't made back their initial investment because they released solely on Steam VR or something like that. And so I think we're going to see a lot more games than people are really expecting. And Jim Ryan's saying over 20 at launch, 20 major titles at launch. I do think
PS5 has had, that is one of the most stacked launches, at least launch windows I've seen like ever. Maybe it's been over the course. It has been 2 years, so there's been more time for games to come out. But Demon Souls, Returnal, Ratchet and Clank. There was a lot of games that maybe didn't get that people weren't as crazy about, like Oddworld or Bug Snacks.
I'll put the Dreamcast
Horizon
launch
Forbidden,
up against any launch you've got.
Horizon Forbidden West. This is a lot of really huge games. So
yeah,
I wouldn't say that there wasn't like anything for it. I don't remember what the comment was, but
Yeah, it's the thing is, I think people are discounting the fact that yes, there's a lot of games that were cross-gen, right? A lot of games came out for PS4 and PS5, and so they're like, well, it's not a true PS5 game. And when it comes to VR, it's going to be like, who the fuck cares, man? It's on PlayStation VR2. I don't care if it's a cross-gen game. I don't care if it's a port, when it comes to when we started looking closer at Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, holy crap, man! The visual difference in that from the Quest version is just through the roof. It kind of looks beautiful, man. And so these are, there's a lot of games out there.
I need to see more. I haven't been super impressed by the way that looks, to be honest. Not yet, but maybe I'm missing something.
I mean, I think the scope of the game is going to be pretty limited, right? It's certainly not some open world adventure, but I mean, what is?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we got to give Sony a little bit more time. I think that when they do their showcase and they start talking about AAA games, then that list that I've got up on the channel is going to appeal to a lot more people. Right now, you've got to kind of go into it with an open mind and say, this is what's been announced so far. But holy crap, there's a whole lot more. Like really,
they have to stretch this out over years too. Like this is not just everything doesn't just come at launch. It's kind of like, it's got to be staggered kind of releases.
Right, but any big title that's still coming to PSVR 2, you've got to figure Sony wants to reveal that on their stage. And any developer who's making a big title wants to be on Sony's stage. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be a little bit more time, and we just need to be a little bit more patient. Hopefully next month we'll see a lot more about this.
I'm satisfied with the first showcase that that held me over for a little while. They bought some time with me with that first state of play. No Man's Sky, Resident Evil 4 content and development, probably going to be the full game, I'd imagine, the full campaign. Resident Evil Village completely rebuilt. There's definitely they bought some time with me for that, but still looking forward to more for sure.
Let's dive into some of these tips, man, because I think these are getting us into the right topics here. We got Grizzly Bear King with the $10 tip. Says, came here. Yeah, don't let me miss any, please. Came here looking for the best PSVR1 remasters, the ones we need and the ones we'll never get. PSVR GameScast Live on YouTube, and that's exactly what I found. Good day, gents. I love that he just copies and pastes the title of the video into his tip. You found exactly what you were looking for, Grizzly Bear King. Mad Max Gaming Channel with the $5 tip says, I know it's coming, but I can't help but feel slighted about the potential $10 upgrade path for PSVR 2. What are your thoughts? I want to know where you got this $10 upgrade path from, because that's fucking bullshit.
As far as we know right now, the 2 games that are getting PS5 versions, like No Man's Sky, is going to likely be a free update. They didn't charge for any of their updates ever. That's probably going to be a free update. And Capcom have already confirmed that the PlayStation 5 version of Resident Evil Village is going to support VR. So I don't think there's any, it's going to be a game-by-game basis. And that's not a thing yet.
Yeah, it's definitely not a thing yet. And now I think, obviously I think there's some Sony money going into No Man's Sky. There's some Sony money going into Village to kind of pay for these ports. So I don't think that's going to be, ubiquitous across the board. I don't think they're all going to be free. But here, let's just
wait till EA starts getting into VR.
Right. Let's just get some Village.
Then you'll get your $10 upgrades. You buy the $70 edition, you'll get VR with it.
Yeah. So the funny thing is over the last few days, somehow by saying very little, I don't know, like some people wrote articles about something that I said, talking about, I said a ton of PSVR1 developers are porting their games to PSVR 2 as we speak. A lot of people, when the backwards compatibility news came out, they were like, fuck this. This was the last straw. I'm not interested in PSVR 2. I'm not going to be able to play any of my PSVR 1 games. And on Friday's episode, was it Fridays? Yeah. Like, hopefully I helped, represent the people who are really upset about this, right? But the fact is that this could sort of be a blessing in disguise in some ways. We could actually be seeing some games get upgraded on PSVR2 that wouldn't normally have gotten upgraded. A bump in the graphics, analog sticks, that kind of thing, and we could actually see some some better versions of these PSVR1 games that we've had. Now, a lot of people have DM'd me and emailed me saying, "Hey, do you have a complete list of the games that are coming?" The answer is no. I mean, I'm I would not be at liberty to say if when a developer chooses to say, "Hey, here's our PSVR2 plan, and and here's how you're going to get the PSVR2 version of our PSVR1 game." That's up to them, man. Like that is not my place, right? To start just telling everybody which games have this plan and what games have another plan. It's not my place. But I can tell you that a lot of developers are obviously interested in bringing their game to PSVR2 from PSVR1. And that's also from Quest. That's also from PCVR, because I think everybody who knows anything about anything knows that PSVR2 is going to be a fucking huge VR market. And it could potentially be one of the biggest VR markets we've had in a very, very long time, possibly ever. And so if you've ever made a VR game prior to this, whether it be on PSVR1 or someplace else, you're going to want to bring your game over. Now, I think the thing people are upset about is, like if now are we going to have to pay $10? I think Mad Max listed a $10 upgrade charge in his tip. And if you don't mind, AJ, if you give me a moment here, I'd like to share a conversation that I had with one particular developer, right? And kind of give you an idea of what I've been hearing behind the scenes. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name games because again, that's not my place. But I do want you guys to hear the kind of messaging I've been hearing, and maybe this will put some minds at ease.
The floor is yours, sir.
All right. So I started this conversation. I said, hey man, we've been talking about a bunch of PSVR1 games that need PSVR2 remasters and how likely each of those are. Is there a chance that we'll get a version of your game on PSVR2? The response was, hey, Brian, I was thinking about that once we found that there's no backwards compatibility. The controls will be easy to implement for us. It's just that we need to update a newer version of our game engine. As long as it doesn't break everything, we should be able to do a remaster of our game. And I went further and said, would you be bringing over the PC VR version? And they said the porting over the controls from the PC VR version more than anything is going to be the way to go for a lot of these games, right? So you barely have to do a whole lot of work here when it comes to PSVR2 upgrades. You're bringing over control scheme from this place, you're bringing over graphics from this place, boom, you're just shoving it all together into a new engine. I'm not saying it's not a lot of work, because I'm sure it is, and I got real concerned about smaller studios because, who's got the time, who's got the manpower to do this stuff, but this particular studio is a smaller studio. But they asked, do you have any guesses on how we would provide the game to players that have already bought our game on PS4? Which I think is a good question, right? So I responded and said, I have a lot of thoughts on how to handle upgrades for people who already bought the PSVR1 version. I'm not a dev, so please tell me if this is unreasonable. I said, give it to them for free. It's a last-gen game competing for coverage amongst next-gen titles. It could really help get the word out about your game to a whole new group of VR players. I feel like financially, you should be concerned about selling it to new people, not so much about getting a few extra dollars from the people who already supported you. Their response was, and I was very thankful because this is the response I've been hearing. They said, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. I would give it to everyone who already has it for free. And then we go on to talk about a lot of other topics. And then they also finished off by saying, and yeah, that's what I think all other developers should do as well, unless they are fully remastering the game and adding new content. Otherwise, like a Firewall Ultra type thing. So this is just to give you guys a little taste of of the kind of conversations I've been having behind the scenes. That is 100% the messaging I've been getting is that if you bought your game on PSVR1, they want to get you a better version on PSVR2 for free. Now, this again is not the Firewall Ultra treatment. This isn't. These aren't new levels. This isn't the director's cut. This isn't. This is really kind of the bare minimum. Let's be fair, right? Like I don't even know if we'll see like adaptive trigger support in the game in question. I don't know. I think it's more going to be like, oh, whatever the PC VR version was capable of controller wise, and max out the specs of the graphics. Like that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a better looking, better controlling game, but it's basically going to be the same game we've already bought, but without any bells and whistles. Potentially no haptics in the headset, potentially no adaptive triggers, potentially no whatever, right? And so I think during our discussion today, AJ, I think a good question to have would be when we talk about each of these games that need PSVR1, that need remasters from PSVR1 for PSVR2. Should they just be, upscaled visually with analog controller support, or should they get the full Firewall Ultra treatment? Because those are two very different business models, right? One is getting the game to us who are the people who bought it who already bought it for free, and the other one is a way to basically charge us all over for your game with a ton of new content and a ton of controller updates and all that.
Well, it's a very complex situation when it comes to backwards compatibility because I wouldn't want, I do think people sometimes take for granted that the PS5 console is backwards compatible and allows you to play PS4 VR games. But it's really, really tricky. Here's the thing, man. I know I got to tread lightly here because I know there's people that are super passionate about about backwards compatibility. They will die for it. But to me, it's like when I purchased a PSVR 2, I know there's several different reasons people want backwards compatibility, and that's what makes this kind of difficult to talk about sometimes, or difficult to at least agree upon. For me personally, when I play a PSVR 2 game, when I buy a PSVR 2, it's so that I can have a PSVR 2 experience. And to me, that is what Firewall Ultra is. I actually really love what they're doing here because you're not just like if you get a PSVR 2, why would you want to have a PSVR 1 experience? Why would you want to do that? I mean, why would you want to play a blurry game that has janky controls? There's things, and even if there's so many layers to this because there are games that for me personally, if you want to, let me just be clear cut and say my stance. I would rather have games, I guess, remade almost. I would almost like a remake because there's kind of a gray area between a remaster and a remake. A lot of these games, even some of the best titles on PlayStation VR 1, require more than just a graphics update and the controllers being adopted. I mean, not every game was just like perfect. And there's several examples, and like I said, I think Firewall is an example of how to do this right in some way, which is, it's kind of like remastering Firewall, but they've really added a lot to it. They're also expanding the content. So we call Firewall kind of like a Firewall 1.5, and I think that's fair because they are reusing lots of the stuff, but they're also bringing a lot of new stuff.
We'll see
and
if
they're
it's
taking
fair.
full advantage. We'll see if it's
right.
fair.
We have no idea yet. They are calling it a brand new game, but obviously their description of it makes it sound like a 1.5.
There's a lot of hate for remasters. This might be an unpopular opinion, but there's a lot of hate for remasters, and I do think not every single game needs to be remastered. But I was definitely one of the people that was asking for a Crash Bandicoot remake or remake or whatever, because as much as I love the game, it's hard to kind of go back and play it on the older hardware. I didn't love the game because it was on a PS1. I love the game because it was a great game. And with technology evolving, I want to experience that same game on newer technology with higher fidelity graphics, with smoother gameplay. So there's so many advantages for this. What's the point of evolving tech if you're not going to take advantage of it? So Again, I know there's several reasons here with the backwards compatibility conversation. That's just a part of it. But that's kind of how I feel. Like I would much rather some of these games. I don't know if we're going to go ahead and start listing them off or talk about them or what. But I've got examples of games that if you just made them backwards compatible, they're still not going to be good enough for me. They have to have more work done to them, and that requires a remaster or a remake, however you want to call it.
I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of takes that I could give you about backwards compatibility. And as a person who values game preservation, as a person who does not want particular titles lost to time, I obviously I would love backwards compatibility. I would love if we had the ability to jump in. And it's funny because I saw so many people in the comments say, well, there was just no way this was ever going to happen. Why are people surprised? The fact is, as I told you guys on Friday, it is 100% possible with the PSVR2 hardware to either emulate or however you want to phrase it, PSVR1 functionality. And so it is, backwards compatibility is possible with the Sense controllers. Or, I mean, if Sony wanted to do the absolute bare minimum, then you could just keep your camera set up and use Move controllers and use the DualShock 4 and use all the original peripherals, and then the PSVR 2 headset could track all of that. There are ways around it, and I understand if people don't understand how that works, because neither do I, and that's why I talk to people who are smarter than me, who educate me on this stuff, and they've all told me it's totally possible. Sony just wants it to happen. In all fairness, there's a lot of good reasons why Sony wouldn't want it to happen. It's for a lot of the reasons that you said, AJ, because we've moved forward with VR. PSVR1 was sort of janky, sort of kind of all thrown together with duct tape and wires and coat hangers, and it wasn't always a great experience. And so kind of forcing developers to go back and give us a better version, if you want your game playable on PSVR2, could be a blessing in disguise. What I'm most nervous about from a game preservation standpoint are the games that I don't know if we're ever going to see again, AJ. Immortal Legacy is going to get stuck on that console. I think the Solus project could get stuck on that console. Predator Vendetta Rising is definitely going to get stuck on that console.
Oh, I like how you found that and put that in the thumbnail, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know where you found that picture. It's a cool picture, though. Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Again, the PS5 is backwards compatible. And why would you want to get a PSVR 2 to have a PSVR 1 experience? I know there's lots of games, but there's a lot of them that are blurry, low resolution, or have several design issues. That's why it's compatible. That's why you can play a PSVR 1 on the PS5. And that would be a perfect statement if all games were compatible, if all games were still available and everything. I get the game's preservation, but they're still on the PS5. So they're preserved on there. So
some of them aren't even on the PlayStation Store. Like Republic is missing from the PlayStation Store. We can't play Robinson the Journey on a PlayStation 5. The Rush of Blood doesn't work properly on a PlayStation 5. Like there is just moment in moment.
That's why I said there are flaws with that, right?
Big flaws.
So you want to have a PSVR 2 to play Rush of Blood that pauses frequently? Or wouldn't you rather?
What? No. I want Rush of Blood to be patched to work properly on a PlayStation 5 for all those gamers out there who aren't even going to upgrade to PSVR 2 for another 3 years. I want. That's what I want. I want people to do the right thing. I want games to be playable because once you've purchased them, it's weird that we think that we shouldn't be able to keep playing them, dude. And you're talking to a guy who goes back and plays PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games way more than PlayStation 5 native games, right? Like I just love older games, and I just because the game's older and because it has flaws and because it doesn't look as good as new games or the controls aren't as good as new games, like, dude, I went back and played about 10 N64 games last night. Hold on, though.
Right? This is the thing, though, is that the I don't think we're gonna have this much of a problem with this when PSVR 2 goes to PSVR 3. Imagine how much easier it is gonna be to make those games backwards compatible.
Yeah.
The fact is, PSVR1 is very much like kind of an experimental technology kind of movement thing, getting first foray into VR. Lots of things were still being figured out. Lots of things were designed with with like hard limitations, and that's part of the reason why it's is the way it is, that it's not just as easy as flipping a switch, bringing it over. It would require a lot of work, and they just don't feel that work is viable. And again, you can play PS4 games on PS5. I know there's some exceptions like Rush of Blood, and everything, but yeah, man, I think best case scenario is we get as many remasters as possible. And once it's remastered for PSVR2, then I don't think there's much more that needs to be done. But I think it does need at least one bump up to the higher fidelity, to thumbsticks, to the standardized, basics that we need.
Yeah.
And once it goes from there, I do think it's easier to port them, to move them going forward, but the difference is pretty crazy right now.
Difference is pretty crazy, and I'm glad that a lot of developers seem on board. We're not going to miss out on most of the bigger titles, on most of the important titles on PSVR. I would say a good majority of the games that we talked about on the PlayStation, what was it, the top 50 PSVR1 list. When we had that debate, I would almost guarantee that a majority of those games will find a home on PSVR2. And so it sucks that we're not going to get everything. It's just not possible. That some smaller studios don't have the manpower, the resources to do what we want them to do. But I think if there's a game that you love out there, the chances are that it'll get another chance. And not just to satisfy people like me, who care about game preservation, but to introduce that game to a whole new audience on PSVR2. PSVR2 will be the home of a lot of new VR gamers who have never picked up a Quest, never picked up a PSVR1 before. And to have those games on the store and readily available is going to be awesome, right? And it'll give those developers who spent probably way too much money and probably didn't recoup their investment on those games a chance to finally recoup their investment. AJ, I've got a list of tips here, and then let's get into some games. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds good.
Move Master Mick, the shape throwing PSVR game cat with the £5 says, very sad day for us here in the UK on the burying of our beloved HRH Queen Elizabeth II. Sending massive hugs to my fellow British folks on this heavy day.
Condolences, my friend.
Big cat swipe in hugs to the Brits. Man Bear Pig Game Cat with $2 tips as Polish Paul VR steals
he was real.
all of his content from Brian. Motherfucking right he does. Get up here, Paul. Come on, man. It's time for you and I to fucking duke it out, right? I'm not going to put up with this shit no more. Come on, Paul. Come on, Paul. Let's do this. I don't know what we're doing, but I have no idea what this is in reference to. But thank you so much, Man Bear Pig Game Cat. We love Paul, but more than loving Paul, we like to make fun of Paul. Genetic Blasphemy, the orally haptic ghost cat, which is in top 10 best game cat names ever. $2 tip says, looking at the lineup, I already feel a new backlog. There are some good titles on that confirmed list, aren't there? There might even be 10 most anticipated on there. That if you're interested in what those 10 might be, you should check out the video on AJ's channel, PSVR Underground. Click the link in the description below and subscribe to him because he put up a new video today about his top 10 PSVR2 games. Huzzah!
I'll tell you what, man.
Yeah.
I spent last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday coming home from work, doing the GAMESCAST coverage and everything. I was exhausted, and I spent all night, each night, working on a video, and I ended up Saturday, I think, I gave up. I said, this is not coming together, and I scrapped it, and I was so just not defeated, but I was definitely down. I don't know what's the longest you've ever spent on a video only just to trash it, throw it in the trash in the end. It is not a good feeling. I spent literally from 7 in the morning yesterday to 11:59 last night working on that video, and I feel much better now. But goddamn, sometimes doing this is tough.
Wow. Now I feel like I should probably watch it because I saw the thumbnail because I think MRI posted it in Discord, and I was like, oh cool, I'll have to watch that.
Hibsy, my boy Hibsy.
Was it Hibsy that posted it? Fucking Hibsy.
Yes.
Non-stop,
Maybe MRI
man.
posted it too.
Non-stop. Those news hounds. Oof. Good stuff.
It felt good, man. It felt like it was like I've been waiting a while to make that list because I've been out of my element in the last couple months. It's like I like to live stream. I like to do top lists. I like to do tips and tricks, and I've had nothing to work with. So I was like, finally enough games to do something, and I'm, it was a fun list to make, and the games look absolutely stunning, and just the way they utilize the next gen hardware. Oh, it feels good, man. It feels so good.
Nice. Looper, the Underground Game Cat with the €2 says, how excited are you to buy Skyrim for the 10th time? I mean, let's be fair. Like, if Skyrim is coming to PSVR 2, lots of people are going to fucking buy that for full prices, right? And B, let's just be happy we get Skyrim on PSVR 2, because I think that's one of the potential casualties from this, depending on, obviously, if there was already a deal in place before the Microsoft acquisition, then it'll get honored. But what's the likelihood? I have no idea. I've got my fingers crossed though, because dude, having like a full 4K version of Skyrim, on PSVR 2, I would. What would you want though, man? Let's use this as our first game. What would you want from a Skyrim game on PSVR 2? Would you be okay if it was just, okay, hey, we brought the visuals up, now it looks like the console version, and maybe the menu works better than it did before, because that was a bitch.
This is the thing, man, and this is, again, talking about backwards compatibility. Look, everybody's a little bit right when it comes to backwards compatibility.
Except for me.
A little bit wrong.
I'm a lot right.
Everybody's a little right. You're a little right, and you're a little wrong. Everything about everything.
What are you reacting to? What do you? Did someone just touch you?
Hold on. Hold on. I'm leading up to it. I'm going to the background. Okay. Look, this is the problem. Is that Skyrim in VR is actually better on PS4 Pro than it is on PS5, because look, the next gen leap is not just about the headset, the controllers. There's also things like the PS5's SSD, the speeds. One of the problems is that when you play Skyrim on a PS5, it's actually got this horrible, really fast pop-in, because it hasn't been tweaked or adjusted at all. Saints and Sinners actually had the same issue, and they had to go in there and redo some of the LOD stuff and the draw distance, and to correct the pop-in, because what happened was it was originally designed with an HD. Now it was on an SSD, and it was causing all the textures to like rapidly pop in, and it looks fugly. And Skyrim on PS5 actually has the same issue, where the way the world loads just looks ugly. So I would definitely love Skyrim to just get another remaster. I'd play the shit out of it, but they would have to go in there and they'd have to make an update for it. So, which I think is possible, man. It's Skyrim. I mean, they're not afraid to remake and remaster that game as many times as possible.
Yep.
Although they are bought by Microsoft now, so who knows?
Again, it's one of the most popular games of all time. Right, it's a fantastic game. It still holds up to this day. It's from the PS3 360 era, and it still holds up. It's a fantastic game. Yes, I'd like them to put a little bit more work into it, especially if they're going to charge us like $60 or $70 for it. Which now that games can be, now that we can charge $70 for games, I'm sure they're going to fucking try to charge $70 for games. But I would like the combat to be less of a waggle fest. I would certainly like. Some minor improvements to take care of all this stuff, because they're going to charge for it. Like that was, whereas I know that there was probably a much different deal in the works behind the scenes with like Sony and Capcom for Resident Evil 7, where they paid $5 million for Resident Evil 7. Right, that's a different story. right? Maybe Bethesda wasn't in a position where they say, "Oh, we'll just let everybody upgrade this shit for free. We'll have to charge you for it." But still, if we're gonna pay another $60 or $70 for Skyrim again, they better put a little bit more work into it. I want console quality visuals, like PS5 quality visuals, draw distances, everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you're that desperate, I mean, I hate to say it, but there is a PC version that you can do, and
dude,
have mods.
PC gaming is the worst.
I know, but
Right.
I don't. I'm not saying I would.
If I like PC gaming, I wouldn't run a channel about PlayStation VR.
If you really wanted that, you have that is an option.
Nope.
Is all I'm saying.
No, it's not. I don't want to play VR games on PC. I don't even want to play PC games on PC. The Steam Deck is about as close as I'm going to come, and even that, few and far between. All right. Enough of Skyrim. Dude, let me ask you this. Do you think we have seen the end of Bethesda games since we're closing out this Skyrim conversation? Do you think we've seen?
God, yeah.
We've
seen the end of everything Microsoft has acquired.
So you don't.
I'm just kidding.
So this could be casualty of no backwards compatibility. No Doom 3, no Doom VFR. Is there? Do you have any?
They didn't even fix Doom VFR before they were bought by Microsoft.
I mean, dude, it's. But it was still fun. It was still a good game. Do you think there's any potential that we get these games on PSVR2?
What, Skyrim? Or just Doom?
Doom 3, well? Skyrim, Doom VFR, pretty much. Those are the three. Those are the three big ones that we got from Bethesda.
I don't think so.
Oh, don't forget about Wolfenstein Cyberpilot. That's going to be another huge loss.
I would only say Skyrim is the only one that has a chance, basically. Yeah. But other than Skyrim, no chance in hell. We'd be lucky to even get that from them.
Okay. Give me a game, man. Give me a game. Let's talk about something on your list, because I've been talking about my list so far.
Astrobot, man. We need Astrobot remastered. Absolutely. That's one of the ones, and you'd have to imagine that they have something in mind for that. Maybe they do firewall it up. And what up, Kevin Tech? I love, man, he is so persistent on Drive Club. I love that, man. I love your dedication. You're a true fan,
right? Dude, and I love Drive Club before AJ loved Drive Club. AJ was like late to the party. AJ didn't like Drive Club for the first 4 years of PSVR.
Oh, I still am like okay on it. Like, it's not my favorite or anything.
Listen.
It's okay.
It was the best driving game we got. Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. Not the best racing game. The best driving game we got.
I'd say probably Dirt Rally or
Dirt's pretty good.
Gran Turismo or Wipeout. But look, man,
Wipeout's the best racing
game. There's only one problem, is that nobody played it, and the whole thing is dead now. The Drive Club experiment is dead. I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm sorry.
Bring on Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer.
We need Ridge Racer, man. Like, because that was the problem with Drive Club, right? It didn't know if it wanted to be arcade or simulation. It was somewhere in the middle, and it's like, well, I don't think anybody out there is like, oh, I just want something I can't define.
Didn't work for me, because I love sim racers and I love arcade racers, and the whole hybrid thing just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But anyways, man, obviously, what do you think the odds are that we get a lot of these first party titles? And do you think they're going to pull the firewall treatment?
No.
Stuff like Astrobot, stuff like Blood and Truth, Wipeout Omega Collection. What do you think Sony's plans, if you had to guess, what they plan to do with these?
Dude, my guess would be simple. My guess is that just like the PlayStation Plus collection that we got when we bought a PlayStation 5, we got 20 AAA games on PlayStation 5 that were PS4 games, playable on PS5, that played better on PS5. There were like 20 of them. It was amazing how the quantity and the quality of games that we got just by being Plus subscribers, just by buying a PlayStation 5. Like, if you were like me and you missed out last gen, dude, I'm playing through God of War right now. for the very first time, and holy shit, is that game beautiful! And I'm just, I'm only a couple hours in, so I'm just starting to get a feel for the mechanics. I'm about an hour and a half into Days Gone, just started that on the Steam Deck. But these games are amazing, 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 amazing. And Sony was just like, oh, here you go, you just here. And so I think that the crazy part is that there's only a few first party PSVR1 games, right? I mean, you mentioned Astrobot, Wipeout, Blood and Truth. There's not like a whole lot more other than that, right? There's certainly games that Sony funded and paid for or whatever, but
The Persistence.
the Persistence. Yeah, well, that was right. That became
You
a
think
first
it's a
party
game
studio,
by game basis,
right?
or
I think we'll probably get huge, like a huge PSVR one collection. For and they're all these are games that have all been brought over to PSVR 2 with enhancements, visual enhancements, controller enhancements. But I don't think we're going to see any bonus content in any of these games, right? I don't think they're not going to get the Firewall Ultra treatment. Here we are. These games are going to look amazing, and I really think, AJ, not to go too off topic because we never do that here, but really this is how Sony should have handled the announcement of no backwards compatibility. Hideaki Nishino shouldn't have just casually said it on a podcast, because what this needs, you need to deliver the good with the bad. You need somebody on stage. You need somebody saying, look at the difference. Look at how good Astrobot looks. Look at how good Blood and Truth looks on PSVR 2. You're going to get these upgrades for free. You're going to maybe even get these games for free, regardless if you bought them prior, and say, so no backwards compatibility, but look, we're pushing you into the future.
Look, here's the remasters.
Right. And isn't it worthwhile? Like, look what we're going to do for you to kind of soften the blow. And I think if they had announced it like that, I don't think there would have been such a blowback, but they announced it in like the worst way possible. Just being like, oh no, sorry. Why not? Oh, because reasons.
Wow.
But yeah, that's how I think they're going to do it, man. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Yeah, sort of. I still have some questions, like, would the DualSense, like, is there any way to use is there any way they can make the DualSense work with like Astrobot? And if so, if it's by utilizing something else other than light tracking, like just using the what do they call the gyroscopes and stuff, like, is that going to take away from the quality of that experience as well? Or are they going to really try to do like a full-fledged like remaster or something? I don't know. There's so many different things. Again, it's really complex. So, I do think those are the kind of games that, when this announcement came out, obviously we pretty much figured for a while. So I had a long time to kind of soften the blow for myself and just figure, there's no way they're going to do backwards compatibility. But I am like, these are games that can, benefit from a remaster, and more people should be playing these games. These are really good games. So why wouldn't they take advantage of that instead of just kind of letting them die on the PSVR 1?
Right. And Astrobot has become a character that's not just synonymous with PSVR. It's become a character that's synonymous with Sony. So for years, we didn't have a Sony mascot, not really. And so Astrobot sort of picked up that mantle and run with it. And so I think it would be very cool for them to have some sort of remaster, again, for people picking up PSVR 2 for the first time, let people know, like, hey, and especially like, what a great way to advertise for Astrobot Rescue Mission 2, to say, hey, this is the game that everybody was raving about 5 years ago. Here it is. Make sure that every gamer that buys a PSVR 2 gets their hands on it, and then that is the best advertising for Astrobot Rescue Mission 2. And then when that game comes out, everybody will be like, there won't be a single person out there being like, oh man, third-person games in VR, that's stupid. No one's going to say that because they've all played Astrobot at that point. So
a lot of those examples are games that don't really need much work. Those are games that I think could be remastered easily. You could give the bare bones minimum, and it would be suitable for an upgrade. Yeah. But then you start to get into the full list of games that really need an upgrade, and that's where things. There's obviously way more examples of games that would work fine. Stuff like A Song in the Smoke. I think number one, I think all the games from the last year or two, not all the games, but all the best games from the last year or two, could really, really benefit from a remaster. Stuff like Song in the Smoke, you don't really need to do much to it. It's pretty much good to go. But then there's games like Hitman, where it's like this was designed with a DualShock 4.
Yeah.
This is going to need a lot more than just a remaster. It's kind of going to need a remake.
I don't think I agree with that statement. I think that you 100% nailed it. That it absolutely needs a PSVR2 version, because the only thing wrong with it, I firmly believe this. The only thing wrong with Hitman were the controls, and that was because DualShock,
Right.
like you have two hands in the game, you're strangling
Sort
people,
of.
and it's just they could have done a much better job of that game in many different ways, but. The graphics, we played, I think a lot of us had the same opinion. When we played Hitman on a Pro or a PS5 in VR, we were like, whoa, we didn't even know PSVR or PlayStation was, PSVR was capable of displaying these kind of visuals. The resolution was super crisp. The environments were insanely detailed. It was basically playing the flat screen version in VR. The sacrifices they had to make were very, very minimal. It was kind of mind blowing. So you upres that to 4K and give us two Sense controllers. I'm like, I feel like you're kind of good to go. You can give us
But see, it's more. That's why I said it. It requires more. It requires going in and rebuilding completely. It's not just giving you two Sense controllers. It's having to rebuild the entire gameplay mechanics and everything. So there's more than just a remaster there. It's like it's like what you see with Resident Evil 8, or Resident Evil Village, and converting it to Sense controllers, or No Man's Sky. They had to redesign the entire gameplay mechanics, tweak the physics, tweak the visuals a little bit, the size of things. So it's a lot more complex than just.
But we've already got a VR version of it, though. Like what I don't know, unfortunately, I'm not well versed in what happened over on the PC side of things. I know PC VR gamers weren't happy with Hitman when it first launched. Did they get two hands in the game?
They did get two hands, but it was still. I think most of the complaints I heard. I haven't played it myself, so I don't know. But most of the complaints I heard was that it was not like. It didn't have like the freedom that it should have had. It wasn't very physics based, and it wasn't. It still kind of acted like it was designed for a controller and then just mapped onto two hands, if that makes sense.
Because for a lot of these, again, like the description I read, or the conversation that I read earlier, that developer is taking the control scheme from the PC VR version, and so so a lot of these games, a lot of that work has already been done, right? And so I just have to. I'm waiting for the chat. To tell us
Hitman's maybe
wrong.
not the best example, because it wasn't like there is no like perfected PC version. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they'd have to do a little bit of work, but seriously, again, like playing it in VR was great. We had a great experience in VR. It just needs some work with the controls. It's already got it's everything else was working fine. So yes, I know we have to be very clear about this, that even if we say, oh, it's going to be easy for them to port a game from PC VR to PSVR 2, or it's going to be easy for them to port a PSVR 1 game to PSVR 2, we also have to understand like that nothing about game design is easy, right? Nothing about development is easy. And so, when we say easy, we're just trying to put a little context here to say everything's fucking difficult. People are going to run into all sorts of unexpected problems, especially if they have to move it into a different engine. Again, like the conversation I read earlier, and they're like, hopefully we won't experience any problems when we move it over to Unreal. You're gonna experience problems when you move it over to Unreal, and so we got to give all of these developers some time to get their shit done, and to show us what they've got, because it's not going to be.
Show me what you got.
I'm sure it's not going to be easy, but again, way easier than developing a brand new game from scratch, right? Creating all these new environments, creating all these new story lots, and whatever.
Got most of the work done.
And so I think any developer out there who's not bringing their PSVR1 game or Quest game or PC VR game to PSVR2, right, where you could sell it to a brand new audience, and all you have to do is port it over. Again, all you have to do is out of their minds. Hopefully there are studios out there, as we saw during late PSVR1 era, like VR Monkey, who was porting over games like Windlands 2, who was porting over games like Yuki and Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife. They did a good job of porting the Quest version over. Hopefully, there will be support studios out there who are able to convert things over to PSVR2 to help some of these smaller studios. Like, it would be much easier, I'm sure, for them to pay somebody to say, hey, you've got the PSVR2 experience. Can you port this game over while we're working on our PSVR2 game? There's going to be a lot of ways to do this. Curious, though. Very curious to see how it all goes down officially.
Dreams. I just need Dreams to get a PS5 version, PSVR2 support.
Agreed.
See, again, an example like Iron Man VR. I did a Twitter, I asked Twitter, and I said, what games, now that they've confirmed it, what games would you like to see remastered? And there was a lot of support for Dreams, which is definitely, that's not necessarily a remaster, is like just getting like a next gen version, kind of. It still needs to happen regardless. But like Iron Man VR, I think is another good example. Like, to me, it's like, would you want that game just higher resolution stuff, or would you want them to actually go in there and add a little bit more content and physics-based polish to it?
Well, I mean, listen, Iron Man was a fine game, but it was fine. It wasn't great,
Solid.
Right? I had a lot of complaints that kept it from being VRAF. Iron Man is a game that I would like to see Camouflage take another stab at, to kind of go in there and rebuild it from the ground up. And if they could, add a few more missions, and they could make those blackout moments where you walk up to a specific area and the screen fades out and it fades back in, and they're like, okay, now peel off the side of the plane. It's like, if you could kind of implement that a little bit better, if you could let me walk around Stark Manor, if you could let me just all the stuff that kept it from being
Give you a little bit more
VRAF.
freedom.
Yeah. This is a game, by all means, I'll pay for a new version of this. And especially if it's a little bit expanded, right? If you give me a couple extra levels just to kind of
whoa! I don't want to have to pay for it.
Well, I mean, this is a game that I would like to get the Firewall Ultra treatment. To say, hey, this isn't Iron Man 2, but it is Iron Man 1.5. We've expanded the story a little bit, given you some new enemies, some new levels, some new environments, some new suits, some new upgrades, some new everything. Show us what Camouflage is really capable of, because I do feel like they hit some technical limitations early on during development that they never really overcame, and then we got stuck with some really long loading screens and some weirdness as far as the VR implementation went. So I don't think this is representative of that super talented team over there. I bet they would love to go back and take another stab at this.
Yeah, when I'm looking through the comments, thank you to everybody who answered on that. I see games that I'm just like, yeah, this would work. Just make it remastered on PSVR2. And then there's like Wanderer. Looking at a game like Wanderer, I'm like, that game is perfect. You don't need to do shit to that game. Just make it upscaled resolution for the PSVR2, add in some haptics fun, but that game is literally perfect and doesn't need anything else. And then there's other games where I'm like, okay, I don't want this to just be remastered. I want this to have work done to it, like an Iron Man. So I see kind of games. I see both types of games. Ones where I just want a remaster, and ones where it's like, no, I want the 1.5 version of this game.
Yeah, dude, I want Borderlands 1.5. That they took out multiplayer, which was a key component of Borderlands. I thought I was going to be fine with it, but man, I don't know. I didn't love Borderlands the way that I was supposed to, because it was obviously meant to be played with friends. And so if they could, and of course now we have Borderlands 3 and Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and so all these other, awesome Borderlands games that might be competing for our attention. So I don't even know if I want Borderlands 2. Do I want Borderlands 3, but just the proper version of it? Or there's so many questions, man, because I don't want Borderlands 2 just, ported over to PSVR 2 the way it is. I want same with raw data, right? Raw data. Like
Yeah.
when we get the PSVR port, we didn't get the multiplayer. And in those graphics, as detailed as they are and as good as they look, they're super duper
Pretty
jaggy.
blurry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I see again more like Rush of Blood, Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. One of my favorite PSVR games. One of the reasons I bought a PSVR. That just needs a remaster to me. That's a fun time. But then there's like Arashi and Persistence. I mean, Arashi, I love that game. But I want to see that. I would like to see them redo the physics based combat a little bit. And then the Persistence. Yeah, I want to play the Persistence again, but rebuilt with more interactions. So it's up and down. It's all over the place when I'm looking at these lists.
agreed. Pietrek F with the 9 plantain says, we need Gunjack PSVR2.
No, we don't.
I mean,
And I think
the
that's kind of the-
CCP still exists. Like they shut down Valkyrie, they shut down Spark. Like I don't think they're gonna be. Yeah, sadly.
I did see some people. I think it was Shen Melso who was like, he's like Spark. I'm like, nah, you guys are just asking for shit that you can't have.
Well, it would be nice if CCP again. This is why, and I know this goes so much further than backwards compatibility, right? Because even if PSVR2 was backwards compatible, and we could load up Spark, we still couldn't play it, right? So I really do hope that developers like CCP kind of recognize PSVR2 as another chance to put games like Spark out, to put games like Valkyrie out, to put games that like just didn't they spent a lot of money on that they probably didn't recoup. It's another chance for those games, and I really hope that they recognize that. One more tip.
Yeah.
You got cold yogurt.
You got cold yogurt.
I knew if I waited long enough, you'd say it properly. But the $5 tip says,
God, it feels good to say that again.
God, it feels good to be a gangster. I'm sure they'll add head haptics to flat games. Would add so much to games like Returnal playing on a PSVR 2 headset. I'm sure they'll add head haptics to flat games. Is he so translate? You need to translate a yogurt to English dictionary for me here, AJ. Is he talking about playing flat games in cinema mode in the PSVR 2 headset, and then getting head haptics while playing those?
That's the only way that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we might be out of luck on that one. That seems like if Returnal doesn't come to VR. Yeah, I don't know. That is a stretch. Dude, James Moore in the chat, like before the show even started, said, no Trover or Job Simulator. Farewell. Dude, I mean, I won't speak to Trover because I don't know what Squanch Games' philosophy is. But like, Alchemy Labs? Really? Alchemy Labs, the people who have been there since like day one on PSVR and been there since day one on Quest, been there since day one on all these other platforms. Dude, I would be shocked. Now, this is a good conversation, AJ. I would be shocked if we didn't get a Job Sim and Vacation Sim bundle on PSVR 2. If we didn't get a Mossbook 1 and Mossbook 2 bundle on PSVR 2. These are games, again, that you could sell to a brand new audience. These are some of the best-selling games on the headset.
And you're right. It'll be interesting to see, especially, those are pretty good examples. I'm going to go with Moss because they've already, Job Simulator is still a top 3 selling game and has been for like ever now,
Like
somehow.
ever.
I have no idea how. But Moss is an interesting one because they've already given us hints that we're probably going to see that on PSVR 2. They've talked about, but they're talking about more. What they're talking about sounds like more than just a remaster because they're talking about utilizing the features like the haptics and being able to feel Quill's fur and stuff when you give her little scratchies and stuff. So,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how they do that, and maybe we'll see that will be kind of a trend of if they had 2 titles, are they going to put them together? Are they going to bundle them together, or what are they going to do? Is it going to be $80? Just kidding.
Well, and again, hopefully they learn from their mistake because the only thing I think that Polyarch did wrong with Mossbook 1 and Mossbook 2 was overcharge, and I do think they overcharged for both of them. The first game was $30. That was, $20, $25 title, and then the second one was $40, and that, $25, $30 it should have been. And so if you can combine those games and give them to people for a $50 package, again, selling them to new people and then also giving the enhancements to everyone who supported you along the way for free, I think that is the magic formula. Because again, people like me and AJ, if Polyarch's out there being like, oh, we're going to charge everybody $15 to upgrade Moss Book 1, and we're going to charge everybody $15 to upgrade Moss Book 2, I mean, how much? You're kind of crazy, AJ. So, like, I don't know how you're going to answer this question, but I certainly would be way less apt to be like, dude, let's stream Moss Book 1 and 2 and see the differences on PlayStation VR 2. But if they gave it to us for free and they were like, and it was sort of like this event being like, oh, Polyarch did this really cool thing for all their loyal customers. I feel like way more people out there would be apt to stream those games, which is 100% free publicity for your game. And then you can sell that bundle to millions and millions and millions of new PSVR2 gamers.
And you say, I'm the crazy one.
You are. You're like, I would have paid $70 for Moss.
No, hell no, I wouldn't do that. I didn't like the $40 price tag for $40. I thought it was a great game. I try to separate Moss from the price because getting the price, I was like, I'm not going to defend that. But I will defend the fact that it's a damn good game and that it's super high quality and stuff. And I love Quill. Come here, Quill.
With the upgrade better allow us to pick up Quill in our hands. And
she's got a sword
with her hand
sword aimed at my neck right behind me. She's like, "Yes, AJ."
This is blood dripping down my hand from squishing Moss. That's from squishing Quill on PSVR2. Pick her up and.
A lot of people are saying Farpoint.
Yeah.
How do you remaster that? I mean, you can't. You have to make it with the orbs.
Yeah,
you can't just use it with the aim controller.
Yeah, and you could make it good while you're at it. Sorry. Wow.
Who hurt you?
I'll tell you who hurt me. Larcenauts hurt me. Larcenauts hurt me so much, AJ.
But they're just doing that until to reveal their big game, Brian.
They are.
Just like fast travel games.
They are. Dude, oh my God. Dude, if Fast Travel and Survios and Impulse Gear don't have big AAA...
And Folly of Dear Father still coming out, damn it.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Forgive my brother, for he knows not what he says. Dude, I know I'm ridiculously optimistic. I know this to be the case, right? But no, whatever. Anyway, what were we talking about before you made fun of me? I totally forgot.
I have no idea.
Okay, let's move on.
No,
I do, but I do, and I'll stand by that. I do. I don't think that Survios and Impulse Gear in Fast Travel have even the capability of making a AAA game, but I do think that they have the ability to make great games. Because I mean, I'm not throwing any shade at these devs. I just don't think they have the size or capacity or the manpower to make the games that we would call AAA. But I do think they can make amazing games. We've seen all of them do it. And I can't wait to see what they do for PSVR2. Obviously, they've all got stuff under wraps, and this is part of the excitement, man. Like this is why the next year is going to be like Christmas, almost every single day, because we're going to see a lot of announcements from all these studios, and we finally get to see the big projects that they've been working on.
I don't trust any studio anymore.
PSVR Brazil in the chat
none of you.
Says, "Hi guys, just a dream. Blood and Truth with free locomotion, new weapons, and a jump like Max Payne S2. What's S2?
I was thinking about this. I was thinking about something like Blood and Truth. Like, would it be fine to just remaster Blood and Truth? That's a really long arm hair. No more. Would just a standard remaster to Blood and Truth work? Or I think that's what they would do, given the option. Because again, that would take them to completely redesign the game and gut the gameplay system, and that's just a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, no, that game's a glorified wave shooter. I'm sorry, glorified rail shooter.
Rail shooter,
you just have a little bit more control than a standard rail shooter, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think they actually made a great game based on the limitations they set for themselves. But yeah, I mean, I would say if anything, Blood and Truth 2 PSVR Brazil would be a better option. Be like, okay, we're going to remaster Blood and Truth, and then maybe give it to everybody for free with a Plus collection, and then that's great advertising for Blood and Truth 2, which is more of a full locomotion game, more of a traditional first-person shooter, but with exploration, because everybody loves exploration and finding collectibles. It's true. Even Blood and Truth had exploration and collectibles, and that was a fucking rail shooter.
Always got to take a shot at Farpoint when you get a chance.
I love Farpoint. I really do. I just don't think we're allowed to talk about the negatives on this channel. AJ won't let me talk about the negatives. Everything has to be positive.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't know. AJ, let's one more game. Look through the chat. See what games the cats want us to talk about. While I pick out a game for 20 questions. Stall.
All right. Let's see here. Looking at my Twitter as well.
All right.
Jim Squires probably says Super Hypercube. Not gonna happen.
That's the game you picked. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, Beat Saber is a pretty easy one to remaster.
But that does bring up a good question, right? Beat Saber is owned by Meta. Meta bought them, right? And we were very, very happy that they continued to support the PSVR1 version with DLC and all the updates and whatever. You know, we even got multiplayer and some of the other shit. But you know, they have big plans for that game. There's a progression system in the works. Obviously, way more DLC in the works. Is Meta more concerned about exclusivity or more concerned about making money? Do you think we'll get Beat Saber on PSVR 2?
I'd have to think so, because I don't think they. I do think they'll have exclusives, of course. I don't think Beat Saber is that exclusive. I think they want as many people playing that as much as possible. They get a cut of that. It's one of the best-selling PlayStation VR. It's the best-selling PlayStation VR game. I don't think they would do that. No, I think it will come to PSVR 2.
I agree. I think there's no chance in hell. I think that there would be such a blowback as far as that. That's just a game that's like ubiquitous with VR as a whole. It just belongs on like every VR headset out there. There'd be a huge blowback, and it's always one of the best selling PSVR games. So you got to imagine that they are raking in money hand over fist when it comes to every single DLC pack, and will continue to do so next gen.
Yeah, if they made a Beat Saber 2, which I don't know why they would, maybe we're talking about something different here, because they do want to have, I do think exclusives are do make a headset or a console more competitive. But I don't think it helps them enough to want to do that, really.
Yeah. AJ.
Brian.
It's been a good show. I mean,
having fun.
Not top 10, but, definitely top 100.
Well, when you have 800 shows to choose from, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Well, let's wrap this thing up, though, with a little game of PSVR 20 questions. I've got a PSVR game right up here in this faltering noggin of my own. And you guys out there, and AJ right here, has 20 yes or no questions to figure out what game it is. Help him out. Help him out.
Help me.
I just want to make sure I bring it up here. Have it.
Jay Meow is in the chat and posted a picture of a what is that thing called? Eggplant.
Okay.
I'm really tired. I joined Jay Meow's podcast. Him and Darth Vader have a podcast that like 8 people listen to. Actually, I heard that you were on there too, and you were the highest viewed part of the podcast, and there was 8 people.
Oh wow.
Good job, man.
That's great.
Good job.
We're expanding their user base or their listener base. That's so crazy. It's good to know.
If you want to hear me have an adjacent conversation, as we did today with Jay and Darth Vader, go check out his podcast somewhere. You didn't send me the link. You didn't send me the link.
Yeah, for real. Jay, send him the link so you can actually get people to listen to your podcast, man.
I'll share it.
What did you guys talk about? You talked about PSVR 2, right?
We actually did like kind of an overview of all the stuff that was recent. We talked about, the State of Play showcase. We talked about Demio and Star Wars and our thoughts on those games. We talked about the hands-on impressions, a lot of those things, and then we talked about the backwards compatibility. So it was really fun, actually. It was a really fun time, and I love talking PSVR2, obviously, and it's really exciting times. So it was a great conversation. We also talked about like made some predictions about when we think pre-orders are going to go live, and Jay and Darth had some great points, I thought, and we had some great combos.
No, Jay and Darth don't have great points. They both believe that we won't see a PSVR 2 event till next year. So I will definitely place a pizza bet on pre-orders going live next month. Hopefully after a PSVR 2 showcase or event. That's just a wild speculation, though. Mostly. AJ, are you ready to play 20 questions?
I am ready.
All right. On your mark, get Des, go.
Is it a horror game?
I want to change the game now. Yes.
Yes. I'm so much better going versus you than being my partner. Okay, it is a horror game. Does it use the DualShock?
It does.
DS4. Is it fully a Dear Father? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, DualShock 4, horror game. Does it support the moves? Might as well get that out of the way too.
It does.
Supports the moves. Shit. Is it a wave shooter?
It's not.
No wave shooter. There's a lot of horror games that use DS4 and moves. Is it based on a popular IP? Says Mark, you're the Zenith Addicted Game Cat.
Yeah, it is. That's 5.
All right. Sweet, man. We're on the right track here. Our tracking is good. So next gen.
It's inside out tracking.
GC, I usually have if it's a puzzle game. I know. I had a feeling it was gonna be a horror game. Is it? Let's see here. I think there's gonna be full locomotion here. I think I'm gonna assume that. Maybe I shouldn't. Does it have full locomotion?
Yes.
It does have. Okay, I should have assumed it. Just didn't want to make an ass out of us. But I did anyways. Okay, full loco. Full loco up here. Let's see. Based on a popular IP. Is it based on a movie?
No.
Not based on a movie. So it can't be Don't Knock Twice, and it can't be Paranormal Activity, and probably a couple other games. Blair Witch, did that have DualShock 4 support? I don't think so. Maybe it did. I don't want to say is it a good game because he thinks every horror game is a good game. Or he'll say it was okay. He won't shit on it enough. I need that decisiveness. I need a decisive answer. Let's see here. Nothing wrong with loving horror games, Brian.
You just keep having those conversations with yourself all the time while you run out the clock all on your own.
Okay. It's got full locomotion. It can't be. How much time do I have left?
3 minutes. You're halfway there.
Okay. Whoa, living on a prayer.
My arms are getting
Was it ever on the top 20 list?
No, it was never on the top.
Oh, no. Oh, so it's probably bad. Never on top 20. It's going to be a little bit harder than I thought. It's probably not going to be in the top 50.
We're halfway there.
Ooh. Has this developer made other PSVR games?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Oh, but the Impatient's not based on a popular IP. Okay, but they have made other VR games. Okay. What do we got here? It's not Voltron, Zach Lightning, but I like your enthusiasm. Home Sweet Home's not based on a popular IP. I know I'm AJing it, and I'm on the wrong side. We're on your team. I'm not familiar with a lot of horror games. It can't be Impatient. Oh, Killing Floor. I like that. Does it have multiplayer?
No, that's 10.
Damn it.
You're halfway there with
That's a good
questions
guess,
now.
though.
I love when I do this with the pen and I can never find it. Like I look up and I'm like,
The
oh, there it is.
Impatience based on a popular IP? Oh, right. Oh, is it really? Oh, yeah, it is based on Until Dawn. Is it made by Supermassive Games?
It is made by Supermassive Games.
Dude, you saved my ass, chat. Does this have a really stupid feature of... Was it nodding your head or was it saying yes or no? Does it have a really crappy voice integration feature?
Yes.
Immersive voice feature. And finally, just to take it home, does it have like a bunch of different endings that nobody cared about?
It had a bunch of different endings that you didn't care about. Yes, it did.
Yeah. That was a personal attack. Yeah. Is it The Inpatient?
Unfortunately, it's not.
What?
It's Bravo Team.
That's not a horror game.
It is The Inpatient, developed, in fact, by Supermassive Games. It came out on January 23rd, 2018, and yes, is in the Until Dawn universe based on a popular IP.
I totally forgot. I thought it was just standalone. Thank you, cats. What would I do without you? Come here. Give me hugs. Give me a hug. Give me a hug. I'm going to pull my whole setup down. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Hell yeah. Let's go, cats. Let's go. Starting Monday off right.
Absolutely. Hopefully we helped make your Monday suck just a little bit less. Shades of Grey Matter understood what I was talking about. The most terrifying horror game. Bravo Team. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for tuning in today. A little bit of a slow news day, but man, I feel like this topic is just never ending. We talked about it at length on Friday, and man, when we ended that show, I was like, man, there's so much stuff we didn't talk about. So I'm glad you and I got a chance to talk about it a little bit today. AJ, you guys, don't forget out there, if you don't already subscribe to AJ at PSVR Underground, click the link in the description below and spread a little bit of the VR love. Smear it all over your screen and just...
But use protection.
Ribbed. For everyone's pleasure and for your oral pleasure as well. Guys, and also thank you to everyone who supports this channel. Thank you to everybody who helps me out. Jay Meow, who gets this thing up on podcast services of your choice. And of course, there was like
Sci-Fi Game Cat.
No, there was something else I wanted to say before I get to Henry. But yeah, Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, who puts timestamps in this thing after the fact. And of course, all the loyal moderators who make my life easier, not just over here, but over on Discord as well. Click the link in the description. Join our Discord. That is amazing. Thank you to everybody who supports us on patreon.com/withoutparolegames. Thank you to everybody who tipped during the show. Anybody who commented, helped AJ out of that pickle that he was in with 20 questions. And of course, thank you to everybody who sat back and watched the show. Didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there and we love you just as much. AJ, it's Monday. May I cue the cat?
You're the cat, Brian, because I want to say see you guys on Wednesday to Twitch on the single player game. Cat Shades of Grey Matter says, love you guys, love you too. Shades says, would love for you to make a list of the best PSVR games that aren't going to make it over to PSVR2. Well, sadly, we don't know what those are yet. PSVR Brazil, what up, Carlos, my dude? You ready for some Firewall Ultra? Playing that, they made that Brazil map just for PSVR Brazil. Did you know that? Dr. Dance in the house tonight. Where's the wish list of PSVR2? You can't yet,
Not
but
yet.
you can go to their website for a thing that you sign up for that probably won't. I'll tell you where you can wish list the PSVR2. Just join our Discord down below. Link in the description. That will be the best place to find a PSVR2. Guys, son, fist bump to you. Time to play PlayStation VR. Good to see you, homie. Steve IRE. Good to see you as well. Old Darth says bye-bye. Bye-bye, old Darth. He also says, swipe the like. I agree. Hector Robles, bye, peeps. See you later, homie. Mike Kelly VR. Is it Mike Kelly? Mike Kelly. That's somebody. It's like Mike and Kelly mixed. I can't not say it like that. Scott Disco, peace and NFL, peace and game for life. Thank you so much, man. Brody the Game Cat in the house tonight. Good to see you. J Meow, Robot. Kill Cell 7774 Emma in the house tonight. Kill Cell, baby. Defunct Ron Broda Game Cat says Doom is a movie.
It's true.
A terrible movie. Actually, I've said it before. I say it again. The first Doom movie is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I kind of throw it on for background. I don't actually watch it. That being said, the second Doom movie stay far away from that. I mean, stay far away from both of them. But at least the first movie has that cool first-person moment, which I like. Kramer 3K, the non-VR game cat. Hello, world. Aceville, the Lorax cat. Good to see you. GC13, Diet Pepsi cat. Let's go. Dan Kiefer, I think I said your name, but I'll say it again. Dan Kiefer, Dan Kiefer, Dan Kiefer. Awesome, Tatum. All of y'all. Have a great rest of the night. I'll see you soon.
At least we got clarification. Mike Kelly, it is Mike Kelly, because he says it's my wife and my name combined.
Oh, sweet.
We can all sleep well tonight, AJ. Now knowing what the genesis of Mike Kelly VR
good tonight.
That's right. Oh, right. Good night, everybody. We love you.